You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Welcome, listeners, to another episode of All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on BQN and the Fandom Podcast Network. I'm your host, Kelvin, and with me today are Amy and Mark. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hello, doing great. Enjoying finally some warm weather-ish and bright sunny skies. We have been cloudy all week, and I want summer to be here.
That's right. It's springtime and love is in the air.
Oh.
Do you know what I did? Actually, I was on a train journey earlier in the week, and I saw all the little lambs in the field where they've all been born. And yeah, I love spring. Today's been the first day where I've been sat in the garden as well. We've had some lovely sunshine here in Manchester. So yeah, it feels like the weather is changing. Summer is coming.
Oh, I love lamb in my gyros.
I am actually having lamb for our Sunday lunch after we've finished recording.
Oh my gosh, this has turned dark.
It really has. Where's Christos when we need him? Wonderful. Right, shall we have a look and see, have we got any feedback from our previous episodes?
Well,
Sweet.
we do have a wonderful tweet from Colin Duggan who says, loved it on our last episode, which was the Undercover series with Picard episode 2 of 1.
Thanks, Colin.
Right, well, before we get on to our main subject today, let's see what's been going on over in Picard.
This is the bridge. All hands to emergency escape pods.
Escape pod.
We're nearly at the end. So, episode 7, Dominion. What did we... Let's start off with that cameo. We knew there was a cameo because of the surprise aspect of the Ready Room. So, all of social media were guessing all week. And as far as I can see, everybody was wrong. Nobody did that. So, Mark, what did you think of our special Vulcan cameo?
Man, I wish that I would have stayed off stupid Twitter that day, because literally I was driving home to watch the episode from work. I had left work actually early, and I was driving home to watch the episode, and I got on because I was stuck at a red light, and I was like, oh, I'll get on Twitter for a second and reshare, the All Good Things post. And I saw Tim Russ's post. Like, hey, it's out there now. The next 2 episodes I'm in. And I'm like, God damn it, Tim Russ. But I thought, that was a cool twist. I definitely did not see coming. Loved seeing him. I do hope, because he did confirm he's in 2 episodes, I do hope we actually get to see the real Tuvok and not, what do they call him? Chuvok? Is that what they were calling him?
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Amy? Did you manage to see the episode spoiler-free?
Absolutely. Yes. I have very limited social media. I don't go on Twitter. And when I do, I see nothing. So that's why I'm just never on there. And then all my little messenger groups, everyone's very aware because, Trek is worldwide. So it's like, no spoilers. I'm like, great, fabulous. So when I watch, I'm like, oh my gosh, Tuvok and Seven talking to Tuvok and the memories and playing Calto and just all of that was so exciting. And it made me really worried about who is infected. Like, it's not really an infection, right? It's an actual changeling. So there's got to be a real Tuvok somewhere.
That's right. I mean,
okay.
Unless the changelings have killed him, which I doubt. I suspect we will enjoy some scene where maybe in the last episode there's people rescued. And I'm still, after 5 mentions, surely we're going to get Admiral Janeway It must be, even just for the shortest of cameos.
Yeah.
I think it would be really weird if she's not in it now after being name dropped so often.
Yeah. I mean, she had the cameo in Nemesis and, so she's there. So wait, I had a question before we move on from Tuvok. Do you think that the changelings imitated him because he's a captain of a ship and that's their plan for Frontier Day? Or is it because has that relation to Picard/Seven?
It could be either, really. Obviously, impersonating any high-ranking Starfleet officer would give you a lot of opportunity to meddle in the arrangements. But if they knew the ship was, if we knew we were looking for Picard, Riker, Seven, then Tuvok would be a good guess. What we didn't get in the dialogue which would really have pleased me, because in the beta canon in the Titan book series, Tuvok serves on the Titan under Riker. So it would have been really nice if that dialogue was in there with Seven saying, where's Riker? You know him, you served with him all those years. And I think it would have been a lovely kind of double-hander in the fact that Tuvok's so important because he's previously served with Seven and with Riker. So that was my only wish. But yeah, I think the changeling might be there because they've been trying to find the Titan.
Okay.
Mhm.
I felt like overall this episode was very, very dark. Vadic's torture, that whole montage really reminded me of season 2 Picard, that really dark episode with his mother, on the side. And they're happening sort of at the same time in the season. Where it's like we just get this super dark, thick episode to get through. It was difficult to watch multiple times.
Yeah, well, they have confirmed that this coming week's episode 8, is, I know it's all serialized, but they say it's very much a direct follow-on from episode 7. So almost 7 and 8 are a two-parter, if that kind of makes any sense. So I don't think you're going to get any light and shade next week, although we have been promised that it's very Marina heavy. We finally get lots of Troy next week, so that's something to look forward to.
Yes, hopefully she will be integral to saving Will. That's what I'm hoping.
Absolutely. Mark, what did you think of the Vadic backstory? Did it make sense? Has it given a layer of complexity to the character, so it's not just an evil person?
Oh yeah, I like how they did that, because I remember them talking about it in Deep Space Nine, coming up with the virus to begin with, right? I believe it was mentioned that they had captured a changeling or something to be able to do the testing. At least that's what, in my head is that's what I remember them doing. So it was interesting to see that Vadic was like one of the test subjects there. I didn't quite get how the fact that she was there with like 6 others, you'd think it would be her in each of the test tubes.
Yeah.
That kind of confused me, because I'm like, well, I mean, that's a little bit of goo in each of the test tubes. I don't know. So that didn't make sense. I would think it would just be Vadic, but evidently it's her and brothers and sisters or whatever.
Yeah, she said there were 9 of her brothers and sisters. And Mark, yes, I had the exact same thought. And I'm like, okay, so the volume of goo of changeling in those test tubes, if that's supposed to be one person, but then that volume, how then does the changeling turn into a full body?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, I pose that question, like how... Or do we just not worry about it? I mean, Odo changed, right, to a rat and to a table, but then that volume doesn't match his Odo volume.
No, I don't think there is such a thing as a natural volume when they're in a liquid state. So they can be Ultimately, I don't think Odo went around and found exactly the right size bucket for him to live in. I think when he reverts to the gelatinous state, it was enough to fill the bucket. And the same for when they're assuming a solid form. It can be anything from a mouse to an elephant or anything even bigger. So yeah, I think it's easier not to worry about those kind of physics. Yeah, shout out to Joe. He'd have more to say on this than we would.
I still have another question about Picard.
Sorry.
Because I want to talk about Jack and Sydney and how cute they were, and what we are learning new traits that Jack can do. Now he's getting into people's mind, and now he's controlling Sydney. Like, what are these powers he has? He can't be a changeling, because other changelings don't do that, right?
No, I don't think. There's a lot of theories going around online. I'm sticking with the Borg theory of Locutus sperm.
Nanites.
Nanoprobes actually got through and are inside of Jack. But they hinted that the Irumodic syndrome was a misdiagnosis and it's actually something else. So I think Irumodic syndrome is a legacy effect in Picard of his assimilation. And the voices Jack hears is the same as like when Picard hears the Borg at the beginning of First Contact. So the kind of connectors. I'm not going down the Great Link route with connectors. I'm going down the Borg route of connectors through a collective. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up. I listen to all kinds of different Trek podcasts, and one of them that I listen to is over on Trek FM, where they discuss the Picard episodes as they drop. And the guys over there on that show just keep hammering over and over and over. They're really totally convinced that it's the Pa Wraiths. I still don't see it, but I think they're convinced by the glowing eyes and whatnot. But I haven't seen anything he's done under the quote unquote possession being bad, because everybody that he seems to kill is like somebody that needs to die. I don't know. But yeah, I knew that it was a misdirect with the Irumodic syndrome as soon as they came out of Beverly's mouth or whatever, like in that episode. I was like, no, this Irumodic syndrome's not going to give him the glowing eyes and the, the superhuman strength or whatever he has. I thought it was, crazy then. But I'm glad that now they're sort of letting the audience in on, hey, this is probably something else.
So we must find out in this coming episode. They're getting right to the end now, and episodes 9 and 10 surely will be the big Frontier Day battle and wrapping things up. So the mystery must be solved in the next episode of who is the talking head and what's wrong with Jack. I think the Pa Wraiths, I give some credit to the Pa Wraiths theory. Obviously, you've got the red glowing eyes, but also the voice sounds like Beverly. And when the prophets and the Pa Wraiths are speaking to Cisco or whoever, they do take the form of familiar people. So maybe that would explain why Jack hears Beverly's voice when it says connectors, find us. But I just don't think there's been enough nods, short of the Dominion War. I don't think there's been enough Deep Space Nine, prophets and Pa Wraiths kind of sprinkled into the earlier episodes for this to be the big reveal. I think the reveal would come from nowhere, and it might confuse some people if you don't know that legacy with the show. So, yeah, but I love it. I love that we don't know, and I love it. I love this chat that we're all having every week. What do we think? What do we think? It's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, if only there were another 10 episodes. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about this week's episode? What are we looking at today?
Well, as promised, we are looking at romance in Trek. This is going to be a brand new series, and we're going to look at different relationships in Trek from long lasting to romance of the week. So today we're going to be doing just a general overview and like covering some of our favorite and not so favorite picks. And then from here on out, we can just do episodes and dive deeper into relationships in Trek.
Fantastic. And yeah, I mean, even Picard season 3 is not without its own romance, as you've just said, with Sydney and Jack. So who knows? Maybe the next time we do a romance episode, that storyline will be fully realized, and will they or won't they? Who's to know? And yeah, Mark, spring is in the air. It's the loving season, the mating season. All the little animals are being born. So what better time of year to talk about romance? So let's go ahead and start off by looking at some of what we consider our most fundamental romantic pairings within Star Trek, the main relationships of each series. Amy, do you want to kick us off? It might come as a surprise who you're wanting to talk about. Why don't you shock us?
Who could it be? Well, my main relationship is Deanna and Mr. Troy, as Picard lovingly calls Will Riker. Okay, why do I love this relationship? I think the main reason, hands down, is because Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis said from day one they want this to happen. So that chemistry is right at Encounter at Farpoint. They have a past, they have this history, but those actors together are just brilliant. I love them, and for me, that's what makes it work. Now, if we're looking in canon, what I like about it is that, yes, they had a past. They both have career goals. They are wanting to move and progress and learn. And it's like like a river that intersects and then goes their own way, and they come back together and then they go their own way because the timing isn't right. And relationships definitely is not about timing. I mean, heck, I'm 49 and still haven't found my Imzadi. So the timing of it all, I absolutely love. And they sometimes get a little jealous, bro. And Riker's gotten a little jealous too, but they have been supportive in their other relationships. And then when they finally do come together, it is so wonderful to see. It just warms my heart. And the love and the respect and the trust that they have with each other shines through in all of their relationships, even when they're friends and when they're together.
So there's a lot of people who would kind of live by the mantra of never go back, as in getting back together with an ex.
Yeah, that's me.
Obviously, they have the previous relationship, and I'm sorry, Will, but he did dump on Deanna a little bit. He didn't meet her at wherever they were going to meet. That was discussed in Second Chances. He went off. He was promoted. Career came first. And then they became friends through the time on the Enterprise D, and then ultimately were affected by the Baku radiation and insurrection, which brought them back together. So, yeah, it is purely getting back. How do you feel, Amy, about the way they came back together in insurrection? Was that because it almost seems like it was something that affected them rather than a conscious decision of let's give this another go? Clearly, it lasted.
Yes.
But were you happy with that insurrection storyline?
I really was, because I feel like, you can have something right in front of your face and not see it. And I think that that radiation or whatever in the Baku, those rings, sort of opened their eyes and was like, okay, we both have succeeded in our careers. The timing just worked for them at that point. And to have, that extraordinary experience was like, okay, this is going to get the ball rolling. And I do, like, personally, I have gone back to one guy and it didn't work. So I am of that philosophy, but so that's why I also love that, because it's something that I just would never do. So it's like I'm drawn, I'm curious by it.
Mm.
From a historical point, I love the fact that their characters were based on what the two characters from the
Motion picture.
The motion picture. Was it
Ilea
Decker?
and Decker.
Yeah. So I think that's cool that it was sort of updated. They brought those in when they're formulating ideas and concepts. I always thought that their relationship seemed so mature and something to aspire for, especially when I was younger. I saw all these two people that, hey, they were in a relationship. They're no longer. They still care for each other, but they've decided at this point they're both going to date other people. And it seemed very healthy to me. And it's something, it's a particular type of relationship that I think is very rarely seen on screen.
Yeah. It is a healthy relationship. Yeah.
So the whole kind of Imzadi, if you want to kind of consider the almost telepathic bond that they have, did you see the relationship during TNG that they were just friends, or were they almost in a relationship, but it was an open relationship, if that makes sense? How would you have defined that? Because it wasn't over. They always acknowledged that they were very, very special to each other. And I've been friends with an ex after, and you don't really. I would never have really spoken with him about, we were extra special friends because we used to be in a relationship. It was just something that didn't work, and we worked better as friends. So I always found it quite confusing to define Will and Deanna's relationship during TNG.
Yeah, that is a really good point, because their friendship, like you said, is very deep. They're very supporting of each other. But I felt like there were some times, like Deanna's eating and swirling her chocolate sundae. Like, that's a wonderful. And so
Lord.
when I see that, I'm like, okay, this is a time where they are, I mean, I don't want to minimalize it by saying friends with benefit, but maybe they are together supporting themselves physically as well as emotionally. And then okay, well, I'm good now. Oh, here's Ro. Let me go. I feel like it's just this ebb and flow type of relationship.
Yeah. So we've discussed a lot that Will and Deanna had other partners during TNG. But I always remember, if you consider In All Good Things, how jealous Will got when she announced that she'd started seeing Worf. Why do you think Will reacted like that when he hadn't really reacted like that in any of the other relationships she'd had? Do you think it was because it was Worf, or were old feelings starting to come back?
Well, isn't that the bro code? You're not supposed to date your friends, partners or whatever. I don't know. No, I think Will saw that Deanna and Worf were very good friends, that they were connected. Like this, I would say, would be her second best relationship. And so that, I think, was threatening to Will, where it's like the others, like Aaron in Masterpiece Society, or Wyatt from
Haven.
Yes, Haven. Thank you.
Oh, geez, Wyatt.
Oh, I like Wyatt.
Wyatt.
Wyatt was hot.
But those were, your sort of your romance of the week type of things. Like there wasn't anything deep and connecting, where Worf and Deanna, like they've had Alexander that bonds them, and their differences really bonded them. So I think it was like more of a significant relationship than just what had been previously known.
Yeah. So do you think there's any, obviously it was such a backbone, the relationship of TNG. When you follow it through past nemesis to what we have in what we've seen in Lower Decks and clearly what we've got in Picard. How are you feeling about the current relationship, bearing in mind we haven't really seen too much of Deanna yet in season 3?
Yeah, because in the series, like them working on their careers, both of them, I sort of don't like where they've written Troy like the stay-at-home mom when she's always been career focused. And then to have, Riker, well, I'm going to be captain of the Titan and you're going to da-da-da. I sort of liked it in Lower Decks where she was counselor on the Titan. Like she's still working. But then again, when you have a family, you do want to, maybe that's the time where they both retired. Like that works in my mind where they're raising their family together. And we sort of see that in Nepenthe because he's retired now. I'm hoping that they retired at the same time to raise their family together. And so we know Riker's still retired. So that would make sense then. Yeah.
Good. Any other nuggets of info on Riker and Troy before we move on and leave them to it?
Oh, do we have to move on? Let's talk more about them. No, I really do love that Deanna and Will Riker.
Oh, I have a question for you, Amy, an opinion. So there was when they did the episode Second Chances, they were going to kill off Will Riker and leave Thomas Riker on the show. And they were going to promote Data to first officer and Thomas Riker would be ops officer. That was a very strongly considered thing. So what would you have thought with Thomas Riker staying on the Enterprise and him picking up where he left off with Deanna? Would you have accepted that?
I don't think I would have because Deanna from that time has grown so much and Thomas, right, was just stopped. So he would be sort of this needy puppy follow along. Like, and Deanna, she can't do that. Like, she's an independent, strong woman. Like, yeah, they'll come together, but not this needy, I want to be with you. And I don't know. That's where I feel that oil and water relationship would be because she's grown so much and she knows Will Riker. So to go back to Thomas, I just think would be a step backwards. Interesting.
Right. Okay. So it's probably, I would say, the most well-known relationship in all of TNG, Riker and Troy. So we can't not discuss them really. So I'd like to move on to my pick now, if that's okay. And I'm going to take us forward a few years to Voyager. And I have chosen Tom and B'Elanna to discuss because what I love about this relationship is that it didn't happen all at once. We got to see everything before they got together. So they only got together in season 4. Season 3 was very heavy flirting and friends becoming more. But even season 1, she called him a pig in one episode. She really didn't like him. And I don't know if this was a deliberate thing for the writers, but in season 1 and maybe the beginning of season 2, I would have probably put money on B'Elanna and Harry Kim getting together because they had a lot more scenes. They had this whole, Starfleet and Maquis, they called each other, and they would always talk about their own opinions of how are we going to get home. So that was a really early connection that was dropped. And then Tom and B'Elanna started spending a lot more time together. So I found it interesting that you got the whole growth and the eventual getting together. But then the relationship of Tom and B'Elanna, I find it very legitimate. And it's very normal. They have a lot of kind of bickering. They have a period where she thinks the relationship's gone stale and he's gone off her. And then there's the proposal and the pregnancy. And I think it's a very normal, healthy relationship in Star Trek without too many sci-fi ups and downs, short of one of them being an alien. So that's why I like Tom and B'Elanna, and I think they complement each other. Not to kind of jump ahead too much, but a relationship I don't really like is where people change each other. But I feel Tom and B'Elanna changed for the better in terms of growth. He became a lot more chilled, a lot less angry. He became a lot more kind of stable. He grew up a lot. He wasn't as womanizing as he was in his youth. So yeah, a great relationship. Mark, what do you think of Tom and B'Elanna?
I have to bring up you bringing up Harry Kim and B'Elanna first. I'm first going to bring that up because when you were talking about it, all I could think of with Harry Kim is that Harry Kim was like every strong woman's gay best friend. It was such a great wingman for her as like the gay BFF. That's how I viewed their dynamic. Yeah, I didn't get romance when I saw the two of them, but with B'Elanna. Oh, and also I have to say that Captain Jeremiah is probably listening and loving this conversation right now because I know he loves the Tom and B'Elanna relationship, and yeah, I think that they, for all the reasons you pointed out, the fact that we get to see that development, the fact that it starts off like almost this oil and water relationship, only cements the strength of it towards the later seasons. And yeah, you can see the character growth on both ends. They bring out the best in each other, and I think that's what the best relationships do, really. It's like you don't find necessarily somebody to complete you. You're already a complete person, but to elevate the best parts of yourselves and diminish the things about yourself that you want to change. So
yeah,
they do that for each other.
Absolutely. I didn't buy as well that I didn't feel that Tom really went for B'Elanna like he would for other women in the kind of the episode of the week romance. It seemed very genuine in season 3 that he just wanted to be her friend and he wanted her to open up, drop her guard, drop her barriers, and the romance kind of followed that. So I didn't feel he was just trying to get into her, if that makes a lot of sense there. It seemed very organic the way it happened.
Did B'Elanna get a little upset at Tom for spending so much time with Harry in the holodeck or building his car or something? Was there something like that?
She did. It wasn't necessarily Harry. She wasn't really angry with the whole Captain Proton holodeck time. It was more the Delta Flyer being built, and then the whole kind of grease monkey, the episode Vis-a-Vis in season 4 stands out, and then you've got Alice in season 6. They're the episodes where Tom's working on cars or shuttlecrafts, and she always feels very left out. So yeah, that's where the jealousy came in, where she felt he would get a hobby or something, a passing interest, and she would kind of be forgotten about temporarily.
Yeah.
And then, if you remember in the proposal episode in season 7, she went on that kind of journey. I think she spoke to like Neelix or someone, and she decided to join him on the Delta Flyer race and become his fight partner. So kind of like, well, if I'll let you have this hobby, but let me get involved too, and it can be something nice we do together.
Well, and that's why I asked, because like it seems, yeah, like you're saying, just a realistic, natural, relatable relationship that they're having, because you go through that with your partners where it's like, oh, you're doing something fun and you're leaving me out. Like, okay, let's figure this out. Am I going to be angry? Am I going to be mad? Or am I going to go join you and figure out why you like it? Like you're learning your partner when you learn about their hobbies and stuff. And I just feel that it's done so much better where she's not nagging, but she's joining in and recognizing it. So like when you say they grow together, I feel that is absolutely true. Mark?
Well, I'm thinking about when Tom was building the Delta Flyer, B'Elanna was going through her own like mental health crisis thing, right? Wasn't she thinking about suicide, and she was in a real dark place? So she wasn't. I think it had less to do with him building the thing because it's an engineering project. She should have been really interested in helping. Like that seems like her whole thing, especially the building of the Delta Flyer. But she was having her own sort of mental health crisis around that time anyway. But yeah, I think that Tom did try to at least include her as much as he could in a lot of his side projects and invite her to things. I can see myself, in that role of always, I want to include, my partner in all of these things, and he doesn't necessarily always want to tag along, but I would always prefer him to be there with me.
Yeah. I like a lot of the very normal aspects of a relationship that you get with Tom and B'Elanna. That is in the dialogue, in the scenes, just even like things that they're on opposite shift patterns. They never get to see each other, or they're having a date and she gets a call to engineering and she says, "Oh, lock it down for now. I'll see it in the morning. I can't be bothered." Just like really normal things that you would do when your own work becomes knocking. We all see Starfleet as, this thing that if we were part of it, we wouldn't recognize it as a job. We just love it so much. And with Tom and B'Elanna, you very much get the essence of, the time at home off duty and then going to work. And I don't think I've ever seen Star Trek like that before. It's always just been, if you are a Starfleet officer, you live and you breathe it, Even seeing someone out of uniform is quite weird. But you really get the sense of a home life with Tom and B'Elanna on date nights, watching TV, going to the holodeck on dates. I just think it's very sweet. And then you get the complexity towards the 7th season when she gets pregnant, and you have to kind of unpack the whole kind of feelings that she's got about her daughter being Klingon and going through all of the drama that she did when she was young. So, and again, very, very real. From what I understand, obviously none of us have got children, but that kind of wanting to protect your children from any pain you suffered as a child, I think it's very normal. So yeah, I love it. I think it came from nowhere. I'm glad it happened, and I think it was a really great development to the characters as Voyager went on. Right, Mark, who are you shipping? Who do you want to talk about?
Oh my Lord. So our listeners are going to be shocked because I picked a Strange New Worlds pairing with this one. But I want to bring up Spock and Nurse Chapel. Okay. Now, they haven't necessarily been in a relationship, okay, in the traditional sense, but they do care for each other. It mirrors sort of what we were talking about at the beginning with Deanna and Will, with its working relationship, although they both care about each other, and they do see other people. So you have that aspect of it. And if you watch the original series, all you see is Nurse Chapel's and her pining after Spock, right? And you're kind of like, well, where's that sort of coming from? But then when Strange New Worlds airs, we get to see a little bit of that sort of budding friendship, and it ends up tying together quite a few storylines. Now, what I thought was interesting, if you bring back again the original series, you learn that at one point Nurse Chapel was engaged to a scientist, Dr. Roger Corby. So she's already interested in science-minded men and probably emotionally distant men as people that she's drawn towards herself. And so it makes sense with Spock. And their friendship develops through season 1 of Strange New Worlds. They confide in each other. And I think it isn't until that episode, The Serene Squall, where they kiss for the first time, that Nurse Chapel actually, I don't think before that she really like would let herself go there emotionally as far as like her love for Spock. I think she kept pushing it away. But in that moment, I felt like the spark of it was genuine. And I felt like it was genuine for both her and Spock. And they had that interesting dialogue at the end of the episode that sort of almost confirms that. And Nurse Chapel was near tears as she's telling him that no, there's nothing, there's obviously nothing between us. But it was so worded in such a way where it was because she knew there couldn't be, because he was with somebody else. He was with T'Pring. But what I love most about this relationship is because, especially from the LGBTQI community, I think when we're growing up, especially if we're like not around other people in the community, our first love interests are probably, heterosexual men, right? And so we end up becoming, close friends with men that are, heterosexual, and it's this close friendship bond that will never go beyond that. And it's sort of like, as people grow up and understand each other, it's like maybe they'll both understand that love exists, but it just can't go anywhere. And so it's a very relatable kind of love, and it's the love I think that I have felt most in my life through various points in my life, through my teens and my 20s and even my 30s, with different people I've been with. It's been this sort of like unrequited love, maybe with people that just couldn't be with me. Yeah.
Oh. Mark, I love that you've chosen this couple because it's such a modern take on what you just said earlier about the Majel Barrett version of Chapel just, pining after Spock and can't have him. And I think that was almost a little two-dimensional, and it was, very old style writing for a woman. Whereas clearly Jess Bush is fantastic as Nurse Chapel, and the complexity of this relationship, when clearly we know the future for both characters, and that kind of, can it go anywhere? Will it go anywhere? Probably not, because they don't get together. They don't end up together. And Spock's with T'Pring, who is also great. So it's really complex. But I think it is really, really well done from that point, what you've just made of this unrequited love, or going after someone who is the embodiment of being emotionally unavailable, So I love it. And I always, my two favorite episodes of Strange New Worlds season 1 are Spock and Mark and The Serene Squall. And I think that the B plot with Spock and Chapel is very much follows on in both episodes. So
it's interesting, the T'Pring relationship, because she has unrequited love with Stan that is starting in season 1 of Strange New Worlds, where we're first introduced to Stan. And we're going to see where that goes, because they work very closely together, and he is more what she understands as a full Vulcan and less confusing than Spock. And eventually, I guess you see from the original series that it makes more sense for her to be with Stan than it does with Spock, but it sort of starts here. So there's a lot of unrequited love surrounding these two characters.
Just the general suitability for the partner that you want or the partner that you're with. So yeah. What do you think of Spock and Chapel, Amy?
Wow. Mark, I was so surprised by this, and I'm like, what? Because I love Spock and T'Pring, especially because, Spock amok. But yeah, I just love T'Pring. And so when you're like Nurse Chapel, and I know exactly that moment you're talking about in Serene Squall, because I felt it. And I was like, no, there can't be a spark between them. I was so upset that I felt it in my heart. That's how good that scene was. And I'm like, no. And so I'm like, no, they can't be together because I just want Spock and T'Pring. I want that to happen. But what you are describing with that relationship, and especially with Nurse Chapel, I'm on board with it now, Mark. Oh my gosh. Yes, that unrequited love. And, knowing, ooh, could it be, can't at this time because of different situations, different scenarios, different interests. Like, wow, I'm on board with that. So
It
way
might
to change my
be,
mind.
for the both of them, it might be the most true, most genuine love that either ever feels, but it's like star-crossed lovers where it will just never come to fruition. And I feel like, like I was saying at the beginning with LGBT, relationships and friendships and things like that, with the lines blurred, I feel like that is so relatable and happens for so many people. That's why, like, it's extra special for me. I just get that kind of love of just like, yes, we make so much sense, we'd be perfect, but it just can never happen.
I think Strange New Worlds have created themselves the most amazing problem here, in that the fans, as this show goes on, are going to start rooting for this relationship even more, wanting it to happen. And the fact that in canon, sorry to go there, it just won't happen. We know they don't get together. We know. I know. So it's almost like the Pike problem. We know Pike ends up in the wheelchair. We know where that goes. We know where Spock and Chapel won't go. So yeah, I think it's glorious. And let's face it, if you were working with Ethan Peck, you'd fall in love a little bit too, wouldn't you? Very beautiful man.
It makes it very easy to swoon over, that's for sure.
When I saw Spock and Nurse Chapel, I also was thinking, wait, do you mean Spock and Uhura? And Mark, we had this discussion where I was confused about that, because I love Spock and Uhura, especially in the Kelvin timeline. Like, they're my favorite. I love that relationship. So then I'm like, Spock and Nurse Chapel, it just didn't make sense. I'm like, how many women is Spock going to have? I mean, he's the real guy and all of Star Trek.
Yeah. Well, all of them, basically. Let's hope they don't recast Janice Rand for season 2.
Lord.
He'll probably have a bit of her as well.
Oh, Lord.
Excellent. Yeah, before we move on, I think, listeners, you may notice that we are a man down this week. Christos couldn't join us, but we would be incredibly remiss if we didn't point out the OG TNG relationship between Crusher and Picard. It's obvious that's where Christos would have gone with the conversation this week, especially with the whole renaissance that relationship is having in Picard season 3, having come full circle. So special honorable mention, shout out to Crusher and Picard. And Christos, you'll just have to discuss that relationship with us in our next romance episode. Okay, so let's go a little deeper cuts with some of these relationships in Trek, and let's discuss some of the famous or infamous one-off relationships of the week or of the episode. Who wants to start off?
I'm shocked that Amy didn't pick this one, but I want to say Picard and Nella Darren. I love that episode. I love their romance. It made so much sense to me when that moment when they are in the middle of the ship and they're playing the piano, and then Geordie down in engineering sort of hears it, and he's like, asking, did you hear that? Oh, no, I didn't hear nothing. But like they had stopped playing the music and they were like kissing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that's like the most romantic thing in all of Star Trek. It was so romantic. Oh yeah, I would have loved to see that continue. But anyway.
Amy,
Okay,
what do
so
you
why
think?
are you surprised that I wouldn't pick Picard and Nella?
I wasn't a fan of Nella Darren.
What?
Sorry.
What?
You
No.
know what? I think the behaviors in the episode of her disrespecting Riker and going straight to Picard and, you know, mixing work and relationship was a little bit ick and ultimately didn't work out. But I'm sorry to say this, and I know I shouldn't come down on a woman like this.
Oh no, where's he going?
I found her really smug and really,
For sure.
I didn't warm to her at all. And, you know, I did want Picard and Crusher. So, you know, I'd be like, no, you're not Beverly. Not to say Picard couldn't have romances. I was fine with him and Vash. But Nella Darren, I just didn't really like her. I liked the complexity of sending a lover on a dangerous mission and how that would make you feel as a leader and the complexity. But the whole kind of the romance, the music, no, I didn't enjoy that relationship. Yeah. It's a shame her force field worked.
Oh, I love Vash. The episode can't go by without me saying I do love Vash, and I think she was fantastic. Anyway,
we should point out for the listeners, Amy's shaking her head.
Yeah, she's a strong no on that one. We knew that.
I am, and I do enjoy the episode with Nella Darren, and I like the musical aspect of their relationship. But outside of that, I don't see them connecting. Sort of like what you were saying, Kelvin. Like she's sort of smug and she's a know-it-all, and I'm gonna teach you where the best place to play your music is, and I'm gonna teach you that I can follow you, and you know I will make you better. Like I don't know, she was very off-putting, and so I didn't like them together at all. And anyone who's been listening to me for any amount of time knows I do not like Picard and Bosch at all. That is the worst. And the fact that there's 2 episodes with it, oh my gosh, it's just terrible.
Oh, Bosch is great. She's so much fun. She brings some fun into Picard's life.
Now, one relationship that I do like Picard, and that for my pick for random one-off romance is Anij and Picard, going back to Insurrection. That romance is so beautiful, in part because Donna Murphy is herself drop dead gorgeous. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. But their chemistry was so real, and that I felt like at this time we're into Picard, you know, his movie era time. In his character, this is, I feel, where he is beginning to grow as a person, like what we were saying in the Picard, like he's learning about himself, he's opening up, he's becoming vulnerable, he's looking at his relationships. And I feel that in Insurrection, this is the moment where he stops being captain and he starts and allows himself to enjoy the moment, to recognize I have this time and this time only, and I want to spend it with her. And so that exploration in who he is and how he's treating relationships, I just feel is remarkable.
I'm a fan of this relationship too. However, I must point out, in the same way we've just mentioned about Riker and Troy and the effects of the metaphasic radiation,
yes,
quote data will bring out several rebellious qualities in indicative to youth. Do we feel this was growth for Picard and he was vulnerable, or was he just affected by the metaphasic radiation and he became a bit of a horny teenager. And he found Anij a little bit tasty. She is space Jennifer Aniston, isn't she? Let's face it.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
I love that.
I do like the scenes, though, that what we've just mentioned about Picard and Nella Darren and being taught the music. I like the aspect of the storyline with Anij teaching Picard to live in the moment and the whole kind of slowing down of time. I thought that was interesting and beautiful in
so
the way
romantic. Yeah.
But even the way Donna Murphy played Anij, she's so the really breathy with her dialogue, really chilled, wise beyond her years.
Mhm.
Just a fabulous character. And 300 years since I've seen a bald man. Love it. What was it Liam Shaw said in Picard the other week, where he says you broke the Prime Directive just so you could go and kiss your girlfriend on Baku?
That's right.
Excellent.
I was gonna say, can you guys point out to me how he broke the Prime Directive doing that? I don't understand. I didn't. That line to me was throwaway. I didn't get it.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right, Mark. He didn't break the Prime Directive because they are warp capable anyway, but he disobeyed direct orders. That was
Okay.
That was the rule break. Admiral Dougherty ordered them out of the Briar Patch. He didn't go, and then he took the captain's yacht and interfered. So yeah, there was disobeying direct orders, but he didn't break the Prime Directive.
Okay.
Cool. Right. I'm going to go deep on mine here, and I want to discuss Riker with Soren from the episode The Outcast. So Soren is the androgynous Janai who Riker falls in love with, and then at the end of the episode, Soren undergoes what is basically conversion therapy and no longer has these feelings for Riker. So I think this is a complex relationship that I like to think about for multiple reasons. I certainly don't buy the love aspect from Riker. I think it was very rushed for the purpose of the episode. I would have been very happy if it was just lust and he really fancied Soren. They had a physical encounter and he morally disagreed with the society of the Janai and the conversion therapy and wanted to rescue Soren from undergoing this conversion therapy so that she could live her real identity. That would have been perfect, but for it to be this whole, I love you, let's be together, I'm going to leave Starfleet and get Worf involved in a special Black Ops mission. I thought that was a little, I wouldn't have expected that too much. But the main reason I chose this is from a behind the scenes conversation that's been had many times of they were going to cast Soren as a male actor. So it would have really been a great telling of a same-sex relationship. But just to make kind of the Janai, come across more as more androgynous. But the studio chose that they would all be played by women, even though they're all androgynous. And it was absolutely of its time, but it was just such a miss. It could have been, for the LGBTQ representation, it's a standout episode in itself, but it could have been so much better if you had a legitimate romance episode with two male actors.
Mm-hmm.
It would have gone around, it would have been tantamount to what they did on Deep Space Nine with Dax and Lenara, two women actresses, but one of them used to be a man. That wasn't shied away from, even though it was only about 4 or 5 years later, but they just didn't have, no pun intended, the balls to cast a male as Soren. And yeah, I just think it's a great storyline, shining a light on societal norms, gender, identity, and yeah, fantastic. What does anyone else have any thoughts on that relationship or that episode?
I like the fact that you brought up that episode. That was actually something that I was considering in my head as well. But I didn't, I guess, have as much knowledge or whatever to back it up as you did. So I'm glad you brought it up. But bringing back to Strange New Worlds, we do get Jesse James Keitel in the Serene Squall, who is a trans woman, and evidently it's going to be carried through to season 2, where she is having a romance with Spock's brother. So that's cool.
I hope so. Jesse James Keitel is my favorite guest star in season 1 of Strange New Worlds, up against strong competition with T'Pring. But a fabulous character, and really doing justice to representation. To if you can't be seen on screen, you can't aspire to be someone. So they're almost very much righting a wrong of that old TNG episode. But my God, when was season 5? It was like 1992. I don't think there was. I don't think even anyone knew what the term non-binary or anything meant back then. So yeah.
So do you get the impression that Riker could be potentially bi?
No, do you know what? I didn't ever consider putting a label on Riker, and what I liked about it was he just fell for someone for who they were rather than what they were. I don't agree with the love aspect, but the attraction. I liked the idea that Riker was evolved enough to, openly talk to his friends, his comrades, that he's got feelings for Soren, who is androgynous. And it wasn't a thing. It wasn't like, oh, so does this mean you're bisexual? Well, it's like, no, he was just allowed and was prepared to have that relationship. And I think that was important in itself, to normalize that here's one of the hero characters having a non-traditional heterosexual relationship.
So when you said, and maybe just a missing, but when you said Riker with the same sex with Soren, if she's androgynous, that wouldn't be same sex?
No, it's not. And Soren, actually, the issue of the episode was that the society is androgynous, but Soren identifies as female. So one would argue it is a heterosexual relationship because Riker's male and Soren identifies as female. But it was the aspect of it's an androgynous society with no gender, and originally they were going to have Soren played by a man, but start to identify as a woman.
And this is just for my real life knowledge. So if we were to put a label on Riker, who just accepted Soren for who they are and not what they are, that's not bi.
No, I'd say it's more pansexual.
Pansexual.
Unless someone wants to correct me. But as from what I understand from pansexual is you have a affinity or an attraction to the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
And yeah, I think that was all that I wanted to say about Soren. And so I don't really need to say anything more.
Lovely. Right. Shall we have a look at some trivia in Star Trek Romance? Some trivia that we looked at. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes or once the camera has started rolling. So I think we want to give a little bit of a trivia nod to some of the real life Star Trek relationships. So, do you want to start us off, Amy?
Yeah, the first one that just came to my mind when I saw this topic was Adam Nimoy and Terry Farrell. When they got together, it was like, oh, Star Trek royalty. Unfortunately, they are no longer together. Seeing Terry on the cruise, she looks healthier. She looks better. It was good to see her. So even though it was short-lived, I just remember going, oh, I was so excited, because you like Star Trek royalty.
It is. And when Ethan Peck was cast, I remember he was invited round to have dinner with Adam Nimoy and Terry Farrell. And that seemed like a really big deal of you've been invited to go and see Spock's son. And by the way, Dax will be there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a fantastic relationship. Mark, what have you got? Who have you picked out from the behind the scenes vault?
Well, if I don't mention this, I don't think anybody else is. Patrick Stewart and Jennifer Hetrick, who played Vosh, they were an item during the 90s when they were shooting TNG.
What? I did not know that.
I did not know this. Can I quote the source? I need evidence for this.
Oh, well, I thought it was pretty well known. I think it's in there. I think you can even find it like on like Memory Alpha or something. It's there. It's out there. They were an item briefly.
Oh, good for him.
I think that's why they brought it back for another episode.
Well, I learn something every day. I'm going to be scouring the internet for the gossip on that one. I think that's great.
It is. I just found it.
Wow. And I wonder if it was the longevity to it, or was it just...
Listen, it's Hertzler's cousin, Jennifer Hetrick, is Patrick Stewart's ex.
Wow.
Did you know, is that J.G. Hertzler?
Oh, don't bring him into the relationship as well. That's far too complex now if General Martok's getting involved.
He introduced them, let's say that. Let's just say at the craft service table.
Wow.
Oh, Lord.
Wow, that's some great trivia. Well done. Well done. I think this next one I want to bring up is a little bit awkward because we have, if you remember on Voyager in the first couple of seasons, Lana Torres is credited as Roxanne Biggs Dawson with the hyphenated double barrel surname. And it wasn't until much later that I found out that the Biggs was actually Casey Biggs, who played Damar in Deep Space Nine, that they were married. And then they broke up as Voyager was filming, but just before Casey started playing Damar on Deep Space Nine. And from what I understand, and apologies if I'm wrong here, I don't think it was a very good breakup. I think it was a little bit messy. So I feel a little bit sorry for both actors that you're existing in your little Star Trek universe, one on DS9, one on Voyager in the same time frame. They must have been attending conventions or seeing each other on the Paramount lot. And I just feel it would have been super awkward. Breakups are never nice. They're always very personal and they're nobody else's business. But yeah, I bet it just seemed that I bet this one was quite public. And yeah, I just find it strange that they were together. Because also as well, I can't imagine them together.
I feel that way with Alexander Siddig and Nana Visitor. But I mean, I guess it's different because they have a kid together and so they have that share. But yeah, to be going to conventions and you're working on the same show and doing the same panels, that's a lot to see of your ex. But when you share a kid, that's a different story.
Nana always speaks very highly of Siddig. Clearly, they've got Django together. He's grown up now. But even when she was on the Shuttlepod show, she speaks very, very highly of Siddig. So, and I think it's very healthy, but that's just Nana being the sensational, enlightened human that she is, who can teach us all a lot about how to live our lives. So yeah, I wish I could be that zen with an ex.
Mama Nana.
What else have we got, Mark?
I have to bring this up as well. LeVar Burton and Stephanie Burton, they met while he was on TNG. She was a makeup artist there, I believe, for TNG, and that's how they met. She worked in the makeup trailer.
Again, I did not know this. I did not know his wife was behind the scenes on TNG.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I forgot that. When you said that, I was like, oh yeah, the makeup lady. Yeah, got it.
Okay, I want to go with an ick. I never liked this relationship. So Brannon Braga and Jerry Ryan. It seemed very inappropriate to me. And I know Kate Mulgrew is famous for giving her opinion at the time. Obviously, it's all water under the bridge now and everyone's happy. But I know at the time, having Jerry Ryan seeing The Boss was kind of frowned upon, and everyone suddenly thought, oh, here's 7 of 9 to steal the show, getting all the episodes, all of the best storylines, because she is in a relationship with one of the executive producers and lead writers of Voyager. So I'm sure everything was healthy and there was no problem and there was no coercion or anything. I'm not going down the whole Me Too movement. It was all very consensual, but it feels a bit ick for me. How do you feel about that relationship?
Yeah. It's exactly what you're saying. And unfortunately, that's at that time, that's all people are going to see of Jerry. Okay, you're gorgeous and now you're getting all the lines because you're doing The Boss. So you have no talent. It undermines her
Credibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a bad position to be in. Bad position.
Yeah. Ooh. That's a little Nella Darren situation happening in real life.
Yeah, it is. Wow. Oh dear, I've got visions of Seven singing "You Are My Sunshine" now in a Jeffries tube with Brannon Braga.
Oh no. We got one more, and this is John Delancey, our favorite Q, and Marnie. Is it Mosman? Is her last name? Anyway, she played in the what was the TNG episode where there's that the deaf guy that does the
loud as a whisper.
Yes, so
she was
Marnie was the head of the chorus, the blonde lady,
the female. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. I completely forgot about that. I did know it, but it's not until you've just reminded me the episode that she was in Reva's chorus. Yeah. Oh, and they're still together. That's a very healthy relationship. Very healthy. They've been together for many, many years.
He talks about her with so much love. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Right. Well, that's a nice, healthy place, I feel, to kind of wrap up. That is so. Well, let's face it, Star Trek is about relationships just as much as it's about the pew 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 and the sci-fi. And it's all about how we interact. So I think this subject has got legs, and we can talk a lot more about maybe some relationships that we feel didn't work, as well as the ones that we did. Maybe return to some more one-offs. But for now, have you got any final thoughts for this episode, Amy?
Yeah, this was so much fun. We, definitely had more to talk about, but my gosh, we had such great conversation, talking about those main relationships and, sort of one-offs. This is going to be a great series. There's so many episodes. And like what you said, Kelvin, it's about relationships. When you ask people, why do you like Star Trek? It's that interaction, that relationship. So I'm very excited that we have yet another new series to continue with.
How about you, Mark?
Oh, I think this was a fun kind of challenge. This was great that we all got to bring sort of something, I think, unexpected to the table this week and do a little bit of research in a fun way into some of our favorite romances. I'm looking forward to having Christos on next time to talk about a little bit about what he has to say about these relationships. But yeah, this should be a fun series. So I'm glad everybody enjoyed it and looking forward to the next episode.
Wonderful. I don't feel like I've just recorded a podcast with you guys. I feel like I've just got together with my friends and we're gossiping about our friends' relationships. You do in your own little social circles. So yeah, these are our Trek family. We know these characters, so we've all got opinions on their relationships, much like we do our friends and family. So thank you. Thank you.
Ooh, did you hear about Riker and Soren?
No, we never. So, Mark, where are we going next week?
Well, next week we are going to be continuing with the Man versus Machine series. This is going to be part 4, and we're going to be back with TOS covering the ultimate computer.
Ooh, fabulous. We would love to hear what you thought of today's episode and hope you'll join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, to continue our discussion there. You can also tweet your thoughts at AllGoodPod. Please follow the network on Twitter and Instagram at BQN Podcasts. We've also partnered with our friends at the Fandom Podcast Network, where you can find us by searching the master feed. So, Amy, where can people find you when you're not waiting 10 years for Riker and Troy to get back together?
Oh, well, I will still be waiting. But when I'm not doing that, you can find me here on the network where I'm co-hosting Galaxy Class, where we are covering the Picard Season 3 live every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Co-hosting Union Federation. I am on Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson, but my favorite place right there, the BQN Collective on Facebook. And Mark, where can people find you when you are not playing your instrument in the sweet spot?
Ooh. Well, when I'm not doing that, Amy, you can find me on Twitter at MarkWhite207. You can find me in the BQN Collective Facebook page. You can also find me if you become a patron of the network on Patreon, where I host Show It's Green. And Kelvin, where can people find you when you are not helping James put together a new shuttle pod in the cargo bay?
Oh, that's nice. He'd be useless at that, by the way. He'd be very good about writing the technical manual to go with it. When I'm not slagging off my partner, you can find me in the BQN Collective Facebook group, or on Instagram and or Twitter at Kelvin's Timeline.
Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a star rating and a written review. That really does help others to find the show. You can also follow the entire network's podcast with our master feed by searching BQN. This way you won't miss any of our fine shows like Union Federation, Galaxy Class, History with the Szilagys, Infinite Diversity, Mickey's Marvels, Sasquatch, What's the T-Bev, and Trekspert's Quiz. And coming this week, the Captain's Couch with Captain Jeremiah covering all things Voyager.
Yes!
At this time, we would like to thank our associate producers, Mahendran Radhakrishnan and Tim Cooper. Special thanks to Graham Kelly for our opening and closing music, and our very own Mark White for our artwork each and every week.
That's me. If you would like to help us keep all of our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. We will add you to the Hive Mind Facebook group so you can enjoy It's Green, Amy's Math Moments, and other network perks. With a monthly subscription of $5 or more, you can join our meetings on the Hive Mind Roundtable discussion on the second Saturday of each month. Visit patreon.com/BQN to get all the details and watch your messages.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you'll join us as we search out
All good things.